Someone called my hair plantation hair. Let's talk about it. Y'all really got me out here giving a history lesson because some of y'all say the most historically illiterate, ignorant, self-hating things. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm Nigerian American. I'm a first-generation American. I was born and raised in the USA, and I didn't even visit Nigeria for the first time until I was 18 years old. Growing up, I spent years studying African American history and the broader history of the African diaspora. So when someone says something like plantation hair, I immediately recognize where that idea comes from. Now, in 1619, kidnapped Africans from Angola arrived in the English colony of Virginia. Over the following decades, hereditary racial slavery became embedded into colonial law. As slavery expanded, Africans were stripped of control over nearly every aspect of their lives. Hair, which had carried deep cultural meaning across many African societies, became another target of that system. Across a variety of African cultures, hairstyles could communicate family, age, marital status, community, occupation, spirituality, or social standing. During the transatlantic slave trade, captives' hair was sometimes shaved before they were forced onto ships. On plantations, people often had little time, few tools, and almost none of the materials they had traditionally used to care for their hair. Many women wore head wraps, sometimes because of labor conditions, sometimes because they were required to, and sometimes because they transformed those wraps into expressions of dignity and identity. In 18th century Louisiana, the Tignon laws required many free women of African descent to cover their hair. Now, this is because colonial officials believed their hairstyles challenged the racial hierarchy they were trying to maintain. So, African hair itself became something society believed it had the right to regulate. And emancipation didn't erase those ideas. Black Americans entered a society where looking closer to European beauty standards often affected employment, education, housing, and basic opportunities. Straighter hair became associated with professionalism, refinement, and respectability. Tightly coiled hair was increasingly described as unkempt, unruly, or unprofessional. Those attitudes survived well into the 20th century, and many of them are still with us today. Modern research has repeatedly found that Black women wearing natural hairstyles are often perceived as less professional than Black women wearing straightened hair. So when someone calls my hair plantation hair, what they're really doing is repeating the same worldview that plantations helped normalize. They're attaching an African feature to degradation instead of recognizing that this texture existed long before slavery and long before colonialism. My hair isn't plantation hair, it's African hair. The plantation wasn't the origin of my hair. It was the place where other people tried to convince the world there was something wrong with it. And apparently, some very stupid people are still repeating that lesson 400 years later.